For today's question, Thomas wants me to talk about Hollywood continuing to greenlight silly movies alongside more sophisticated action films. I would like you to make a video about why there are so many stupid, cheesy movies being released this year and recently, like Skyscraper, The Meg, and more, and explain why we don't tend to get a lot more original and actual proper movies like this year with Ready Player One, Mission Impossible Fallout, and Incredibles 2. That's an interesting question, and the truth is, because people do enjoy going to them. However, I do think we're seeing a nice compromise of Hollywood producing highly respected action films like those you mentioned, and cheesy big-budget B-movies often associated with cheap thrills. Ready Player One, Mission Impossible 6, and Incredibles 2 are among the highest-grossing films of the year, showing there is audience support for those movies you hold dear. However, The Meg has also proven to be enormously successful because sometimes people do want the simple things like watching a shark chomp down on some swimmers. You could almost say the same thing about horror films. The likes of It, A Quiet Place, and Get Out being big money makers shows we're seeing a trend toward audiences supporting character-driven horror films that focus on story more so than blood and guts. However, there will always be a place for, as Roger Ebert famously termed them, dead teenager movies, as proven by the likes of Slender Man and Hellfest hitting screens. And that's okay. Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street are considered dead teenager movies, and they are iconic and landmark films in the genre, helping to launch the careers of two celebrated horror directors. In fact, you never know who might emerge from said silly films. Roger Corman devoted his career to making cheap, silly, cheesy B-movies, many of which were the launching pads for respected filmmakers. Francis Ford Coppola, Ron Howard, James Cameron, Joe Dante, Jonathan Demme, and Martin Scorsese have all owed a debt to Corman in seeing the potential in them and thus leading to long and successful directing careers. I think it's interesting you cited Ready Player One and the new Mission Impossible films as examples of original and proper films. Ready Player One is inspired by the nostalgia a lot of people hold for what were once considered stupid and cheesy. Who would have guessed one day that the killer children's toy Chucky in Child's Play, or the Japanese robot anime Gundam, would eventually become iconic enough to earn places in a big-budget Steven Spielberg project? Meanwhile, the first Mission Impossible movie was initially seen as Hollywood again turning a beloved 1960s television series into a big stupid action movie, with the original actors from the show wanting no part of it. Who does this Tom Cruise think he is, stepping into Peter Graves' shoes? And all those big-budget Marvel tentpoles that we now get 3 times a year? There was a time when they were not taken seriously and seemed primarily as an opportunity to sell toys. Die Hard, widely considered one of the greatest action films of all time, was originally intended as a sequel to the Arnold Schwarzenegger shoot-'em-up Commando. What could be seen as cheesy and stupid 1 minute could then turn around and become celebrated as a brilliant piece of cinema. In the end, it's all about the execution as well as anticipating where audiences' taste will lie. Now, there are others who are tired of superhero movies and action spectacles, and to them I say, always keep a lookout for an independent film potentially playing at a cinema near you. This has been such a wonderful year for original and inventive independent films. 8th Grade, Tully, I Love Dogs, Leave No Trace, Blindspotting, Black Klansman, Searching. Probably the most original film I've seen this year, which went places I did not expect, was the indie comedy Sorry to Bother You. I can bet at least a few of these played at your local multiplex. And if you support these independent films, more of them will get financed. There's so many screens now, and not all of them are playing Skyscraper. Look at the entire marquee and see what appeals to you. Thank you for your question, Lance.